Okay, so as February has started, I've decided to show all of you how to make a bracelet that you could give as a gift on Valentine's Day. So this pattern has hearts on it. It has small hearts and big hearts that kind of connect together. So for this pattern, you need 11 strings in 3 different colors. So you need 7 for your background. I am using white. And you also need 2 for whatever you want the large hearts to be. For me, it's purple. And you need 2 strings for the small hearts, for which I am using pink. So this pattern has 18 rows. It's not too difficult, but you definitely want to have some experience. So for the first row, you want to get your strings all set up. You're going to have white, 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 pink, white, purple, purple, pink, white, white. So once you have your strings set up, you can start, and you want to start with 3 forwards knots. So 2 with white, and then you're going to take your pink string and tie another forwards knot. Then when you get to your 2 purples, you're going to tie another forwards knot. And your last knot is going to be forwards, backwards with pink and white. So for this pattern, because it is an odd number of strings, you're going to leave out the last string and not tie a knot with it this row. And the next row, you need to leave out your first string. So for the second row, you're going to start with 2 forwards knots. And again, these are both with white. Okay, so your next knot is going to be a backwards knot, and then another backwards knot. And you can do a forwards knot with your last 2 white strings. So now for the third row, we're going to take back the white string at the beginning, and we are going to do 2 forwards knots. Once you've done that, you need to do a backwards knot and then a forwards knot, which is with your purple and pink strings. Next, you're going to do a forwards knot with your purple string, and that's the last knot of the row, because again, it's an odd row and you do not need to use the last string. So now for the fourth row, we're going to skip the first string and start off with a forwards knot, and that is followed by a backwards knot, and then another forwards knot. Next, you're going to do a backwards forwards knot with white and pink, and then a forwards backwards knot with pink and white, purple and white. So now for the next row, you want to bring back your first string and do a forwards knot. Next, you're going to do a backwards knot, and then 2 forwards backwards knots. And then next, you're going to do a backwards knot with your purple string. For the next row, we have to skip the first string, and we're going to start off with a backwards knot. Next, we're going to do 2 backwards forwards knots with first 2 white strings and then white on pink. And then for the rest of the row, you're going to do 2 backwards knots. So now we're on the 7th row. We're going to bring back the first string and do a backwards forwards knot with the purple. Next, for the 2 whites, is a forwards knot. And that is followed by a forwards backwards knot. And then a backwards forwards knot. And the last knot is going to be another backwards forwards. For the next row, we need to skip the first string, and then we're going to start off with 2 forwards knots. Next knot is going to be a backwards forwards knot with white and pink, and that is followed by 2 forwards knots. For the next row, you're going to get your first string and you're going to do 2 forwards knots. Next, you're going to do a forwards backwards knot with white and pink, followed by another forwards backwards knot. And then last, you're just going to do a normal forwards knot with purple and white. Okay, so the next row you're going to get rid of your first string again, and you're going to tie 2 forwards knots. Next, you're going to do a backwards knot, and then a backwards forwards knot. And then last, you're going to do a forwards backwards knot with purple and white. So now for the 11th row, we're going to get the first string again and tie 3 forwards knots. So once you've done that, you're going to tie another forwards knot with your 2 pinks, because you're going to start bringing in the small heart. And then your last knot is going to be a backwards knot. So now for the next row, you're going to skip your first string and tie 2 forwards knots. And once you finish that, you're going to tie 3 backwards knots. So that will finish the rest of the row. So your next row, you're going to get your first string again and tie 2 forwards knots. Next, you're going to tie a backwards knot. And then to finish the purple heart, you're going to do a forwards knot. And then lastly, you're going to do a forwards backwards knot. And for the next row, get rid of your first string and start off with 1 forwards knot. And then next you're going to do a backwards knot with your pink and white strings. And then another forwards knot with white and purple. And then to finish off the row, you're going to do 2 backwards knots. And then for the next row, get your first string and tie 1 forwards knot. Next, you're going to take your pink and do a backwards knot, backwards forwards. Then you're going to take your white and do a forwards backwards knot. And then your last 2 knots are both going to be backwards forwards knots. First with your pink string on your white string, and then with your white string on your purple string. So now you're on the last row, and you're going to get rid of your first string and tie 2 forwards knots. Next, you're going to tie a backwards knot. And that is followed by 2 forwards knots. So that is all for how to make this pattern. To finish, you just want to start back at the beginning of the pattern and continue repeating until you have your bracelet as long as you would like it. So in the description below, I will put the link to the pattern if you want to print it. And you can also follow this channel for more tutorials, and also have links to our Instagram and other social media in the description. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. If you have any questions, you can leave them below.